Dr. Paul Mitchell walked through the secure holding facility where Admiral Vextar was being kept prisoner. The alien commander sat in a specially designed chair that kept him calm and prevented him from harming himself or trying to escape. Paul was Earth's leading expert on alien psychology and had been chosen to question the captured Zephyrian leader about his empire's plans and technology. Paul activated the translation device that would allow him to speak with the alien admiral. The machine used advanced computer programs to convert human speech into Zephyrian language and translate the alien's responses back into English. Paul had used this technology to interview prisoners from all 9 previous fleets, but this was the first time he had captured such a high-ranking enemy officer. "Admiral Vextar, I am Dr. Mitchell. I would like to ask you some questions about your empire and your military forces." The alien admiral looked at Paul with large, confused eyes. His gray skin looked pale, and his breathing was shallow from the shock of his defeat and capture. Vexatar had never imagined that any force in the galaxy could defeat his massive fleet so easily and completely. "Human, how did you destroy my ships? What weapons did you use against us? My fleet was the most powerful force in Zephyrian history, yet you defeated it in minutes." Paul sat down in a chair across from the alien prisoner. "Admiral, we did not destroy your ships. We captured them intact, along with all their technology and most of their crews. Your vessels are now being studied by our scientists to help us understand your empire better." Vextar shook his head in disbelief. "Impossible. Your species is primitive. Your technology is centuries behind ours. You should not be able to defeat even one of our ships, let alone an entire fleet." Paul smiled gently. "Admiral, that is exactly what your empire has believed for the past 3 years. You have sent 10 fleets to conquer Earth, and all 10 have failed. Perhaps it is time to consider that your understanding of human capabilities is incomplete. Intelligence. Officer Claire Lewis worked in the computer center where Zephyrian data files were being analyzed and decoded. The captured alien computers contained thousands of documents about military plans, technology designs, and strategic information about the Empire's activities throughout the galaxy. Claire's job was to find the most important information and translate it into reports that human leaders could understand. Claire discovered something that made her blood run cold. Hidden deep in the flagship's computer files was a detailed plan for something called Operation Starbreaker. The document described a massive weapon that could destabilize the nuclear reactions inside a star, causing it to explode and destroy every planet in the star system. "General Phillips, you need to see this immediately," Claire said into her secure communication device. Within minutes, General Kate Phillips arrived at the computer center with several other high-ranking military officers. Claire showed them the translated documents on her computer screen, explaining what the alien weapon could do and when the Zephyrians planned to use it. "According to these files, the Starbreaker weapon is already built and ready for deployment," Claire reported. "The Zephyrian High Command has decided that if their 10th Fleet fails, they will use the Starbreaker to destroy Earth's sun rather than accept another defeat." General Phillips studied the technical specifications for the alien weapon. The Starbreaker was enormous, requiring a specially built ship the size of a small moon to carry and operate it. The weapon worked by firing focused beams of exotic matter into a star's core, disrupting the nuclear fusion process and causing the star to become unstable. "How long do we have before they deploy this weapon?" General Phillips asked. Claire checked the timeline documents carefully. "Based on their original plans, the Starbreaker ship should reach our solar system in approximately 6 weeks. However, now that their 10th Fleet has failed, they may accelerate the schedule." Captain Laura Davis attended the emergency meeting called by Earth's top military and political leaders. Laura was one of humanity's most experienced space combat officers and had participated in the defense against 7 of the 10 Zephyrian attacks. The meeting was being held in the most secure conference room beneath the Global Defense Council headquarters. President Alex Thompson addressed the assembled leaders through a secure video connection. Ladies and gentlemen, we face a new level of threat from the Zephyrian Empire. Their willingness to destroy entire star systems shows that they will stop at nothing to defeat us. Admiral Pete Collins stood up to present humanity's options. We have three possible courses of action. First, we can continue our defensive strategy and try to capture the Starbreaker weapon when it arrives. Second, we can evacuate Earth and establish colonies in other star systems. Third, we can launch a preemptive strike against the Zephyrian home system to stop the weapon before it reaches us. Laura raised her hand to speak. Admiral, what are the chances that we could successfully capture or disable the Starbreaker weapon using our current defensive systems? Admiral Collins consulted his tactical reports. According to our scientists, the Starbreaker operates on principles we do not fully understand. While our gravity well technology might be able to trap the weapon ship, we cannot guarantee that we could prevent it from firing at our sun before we disable it. Dr. Nancy Kim presented her analysis of the captured Zephyrian technology and intelligence data. Nancy had spent weeks studying the alien computer files and communication records to understand how their empire operated and where its weaknesses might be found. The Zephyrian Empire is much larger than we originally thought, Nancy reported. They control over 60 star systems and have military bases throughout this region of the galaxy. However, their technology has one critical weakness that we can exploit. Nancy activated a large display screen that showed technical diagrams of Zephyrian computer systems. All of their ships, weapons, and facilities use the same basic computer architecture. We have already developed methods to take control of their systems remotely. If we can get close enough to their home system, we could potentially disable their entire military network from the inside. General Phillips leaned forward in her chair. Dr. Kim, are you suggesting that we could defeat the entire Zephyrian Empire using computer warfare rather than conventional weapons? Nancy nodded. Exactly. Their reliance on interconnected computer systems is their greatest strength, but it is also their greatest vulnerability. One properly executed cyber attack could shut down their entire civilization for months or even years. Admiral Morrison presented the final piece of humanity's new strategy. We have been secretly building our own interstellar fleet using improved versions of captured Zephyrian technology. Our ships are faster, more maneuverable, and equipped with weapons that the aliens cannot defend against. We are ready to take the fight directly to their home system. The room fell silent as the leaders considered this dramatic change in Earth's strategy. For 3 years, humanity had hidden its true capabilities and fought only defensive battles. Now they were being asked to launch an offensive war against an empire that controlled dozens of star systems. President Thompson spoke first. If we do this, there will be no going back. Once we reveal our true technological capabilities, the Zephyrians will know that they have been defeated by a species they considered primitive. They will never underestimate us again. General Phillips stood up. Mr. President, they are already planning to destroy our entire star system. We cannot afford to remain passive any longer. It is time for humanity to show the galaxy what we are truly capable of. The vote was unanimous. Earth would launch its first offensive military operation against an alien empire. The age of hiding in the shadows was over. Humanity would carry its own ultimatum to the Zephyrian homeworld. And this time, the aliens would learn what happens when Earth's warnings are ignored. Admiral Morrison looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. In 6 weeks, human ships would arrive at Zephyr Prime carrying weapons beyond alien comprehension and technology that would make the Zephyrian Empire's greatest achievements look like primitive tools. The galaxy was about to discover that humanity had been the most dangerous species in the region all along, quietly waiting for the right moment to reveal its true power. The 10th Fleet's failure had been the Zephyrians' last chance to conquer Earth peacefully. Now they would face the consequences of underestimating humanity for far too long. 2 days after the battle, Captain Jake Morrison stood in the main conference room of the USS Liberty. Across from him sat Commander Vexus Tar. But the alien looked very different now. His purple skin seemed paler, and his yellow eyes no longer held the arrogant confidence Jake remembered from their first meeting. Between them on the table lay several human weapons, a railgun projectile, a missile warhead, and a simple bullet from Ryan Brooks's sidearm. The items that had once made the aliens laugh now commanded their complete attention and respect. "I still cannot fully understand how this works," Vextar said, carefully examining the bullet. "You fire this small piece of metal and it travels through space without any guidance system or energy source?" Dr. Lisa Carter, who had become the unofficial translator for the technical discussions, nodded patiently. "The projectile uses momentum and kinetic energy. Once it's fired, it continues, moving until something stops it. Basic physics." "Basic physics," Vexatar repeated slowly. "But the calculations required to hit a moving target across such distances." "We use computers to help with aiming," Kate Sullivan explained. "But the projectile itself is just metal moving in a straight line." The alien commander shook his eye, head in what seemed like disbelief. "For 3,000 years, the Zephyrian Empire has dominated this galaxy. We have defeated every species we encountered using our advanced energy weapons and shields. And now we learn that simple metal projectiles could have destroyed us at any time." Jake leaned back in his chair. "Not quite. You needed the right combination of technology to make kinetic weapons truly effective. Our railguns use magnetic acceleration powered by fusion reactors. Our guidance systems use quantum computers. The projectiles themselves are made from materials that didn't exist 100 years ago." "But the principle is ancient," Vextar said. "Throwing rocks at enemies." "Sometimes the oldest ideas are the best ones," Jake replied. "We just found better ways to throw rocks." The door opened, and Admiral Helen Price entered the room. She had arrived that morning with a fleet of 20 human ships to assess the situation. The tough admiral looked pleased as she took her seat at the table. "Commander Vextar," Admiral Price said, "we've been analyzing the wreckage of your ships. Our engineers are very impressed with your energy technology. Dr. Carter tells me you're interested in a technology exchange." The alien commander straightened in his chair. "Yes, Admiral. The Zephyrian Empire wishes to propose a formal alliance with humanity. We offer our knowledge of energy manipulation, shield technology, and faster-than-light travel. In return, we ask to learn about kinetic weapons and human engineering principles." "That's a generous offer," Admiral Price replied. "But first we need to discuss what happened to our colonies. 300,000 people were killed or injured in your attacks." Vextar's head drooped. "There are no words to express our regret for those actions. We acted out of arrogance and ignorance. The Zephyrian Empire will provide full compensation for the damage we caused. We will also help rebuild the destroyed cities using our construction technology." Kate Sullivan had been studying data on her tablet. "Admiral, if we combine their energy systems with our kinetic weapons, we could create defensive platforms that are virtually unbeatable, ships that can stop both energy and projectile attacks." "Interesting," Admiral Price said. "What else are you thinking?" "Their faster-than-light engines are much better than ours. Combined with our weapons, we could build exploration ships that can defend themselves against any threat. And their medical technology could save thousands of lives," Dr. Carter added her own observations. "From a scientific standpoint, this could advance human civilization by centuries. But more importantly, it would prevent future conflicts like this one." Jake had been listening to the discussion, but his mind was on bigger questions. "Commander Vextar, you mentioned that you've encountered hundreds of other species. What are they like?" The alien commander's expression grew more serious. "Most are peaceful traders and explorers, like humans claim to be. But there are others. species that use their technology for conquest and destruction. The Kronak horde, for example, has been expanding across the galaxy for 500 years, enslaving or destroying every civilization they encounter. And they use energy weapons too? Exclusively. They consider kinetic weapons to be primitive, just as we did. Their ships are heavily shielded against energy attacks, but have no defense against solid projectiles. Admiral Price leaned forward with interest. Are you saying that human weapons would be effective against these other threats? More than effective, Vextar replied. Admiral, I believe humanity could become the dominant military power in this galaxy. Not through conquest, but through the ability to defend against any aggressor. No species we know of has developed defenses against kinetic weapons. Jake thought about the implications. Humanity had spent centuries dreaming of exploring the stars and meeting alien civilizations. Now they were learning that the galaxy was full of threats that their primitive weapons could easily defeat. There's something else, Vextar continued. News of our defeat is already spreading through Zephyrian space. Other species are asking questions about human military capabilities. Some are afraid, but others are interested in forming alliances. Ben Rodriguez, who had been monitoring communications, looked up from his station. Sir, we're receiving messages from 6 different alien governments. They all want to establish diplomatic contact with Earth. What are they saying? Admiral Price asked. Most of them mention the battle at New Denver. Word is spreading that humans defeated a Zephyrian fleet using unknown weapons technology. Several species are offering trade agreements and mutual defense pacts. Kate Sullivan was excited about the technological possibilities. Admiral, imagine what we could accomplish with access to multiple alien technologies. We could build ships that combine the best features from dozens of different civilizations. Dr. Carter was thinking about the scientific implications. This could be the beginning of a new age for humanity, not just technologically but culturally. We could learn from species that have existed for millions of years. Jake stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the damaged alien ships being escorted by human vessels. The proud Zephyrian fleet that had once seemed invincible was now asking for protection while their crews learned how to repair projectile damage. Commander Vextar, Jake said, turning back to the table. What do you think will happen now? How will the galaxy react to humans? The alien commander considered the question carefully. Captain Morrison, for thousands of years, military power in this galaxy has been determined by who has the most advanced energy weapons. Civilizations rise and fall based on their ability to build better plasma cannons or stronger shields. He paused, looking at the simple bullet on the table. But humans have changed everything. You have shown that advancement doesn't always mean abandoning older methods. You took ancient principles and combined them with modern technology to create something completely unexpected. You think that will change how other species approach warfare? I think it already has. Right now, military engineers across the galaxy are trying to figure out how to defend against kinetic weapons. But more importantly, they're asking what other primitive technologies might actually be superior to their advanced systems. Admiral Price smiled grimly. So we've started a revolution in military thinking. More than that, Vextar replied. You've proven that diversity in approach is more valuable than simple technological advancement. The galaxy has been following the same path for millennia, always pursuing more sophisticated energy-based systems. Humans showed us a completely different path that we had forgotten existed. Kate Sullivan was already making plans. Admiral, with your permission, I'd like to start working with Zephyrian engineers immediately. We could have prototype hybrid weapons ready for testing within a month. Do it, Admiral Price ordered. But remember, we're not trying to conquer anyone. We're building defenses to protect human colonies and our new allies. Jake felt a sense of pride mixed with responsibility. Humanity had entered the galactic community not as junior partners begging for acceptance, but as equals who brought something unique to offer. The weapons that aliens had mocked as primitive had become humanity's ticket to respect and influence among the stars. "Commander Vextar," Jake said, "I have one more question. In your opinion, what makes humans different from other species you've encountered?" The alien commander thought for a long moment before answering. "Other species, including my own, tend to assume that newer is always better. When we develop advanced technology, we abandon the old methods completely. But humans seem to understand that old and new can work together." He gestured at the weapons on the table. "You didn't just build better energy weapons, you made kinetic weapons better by applying new technology to ancient principles. That kind of thinking is unusual in the galaxy." Admiral Price stood up, signaling that the meeting was ending. "Well then, it sounds like humanity is going to fit in just fine out here among the stars. Commander Vextar, welcome to the beginning of a very interesting partnership." As the alien commander left the room, Jake remained by the window, looking out at the stars. The galaxy suddenly see. The moment Jake Morrison gave the order, everything changed. Ryan Brooks pressed the firing controls on his console. From the USS Liberty, invisible projectiles shot out at incredible speed. The railgun rounds were too fast for human eyes to see, traveling at nearly 1/3 the speed of light. Behind them came missiles armed with hybrid warheads that Kate Sullivan had designed using both human explosives and alien energy crystals. At the same time, the USS Defiance and USS Ranger fired their own kinetic weapons. Hundreds of projectiles streaked through space toward the alien fleet. The Zephyrian ships hung in their perfect formation, their crews completely unaware of what was about to hit them. Commander Vextar was still talking on the communication channel. "Human vessels, your energy weapons are useless against our shields. Surrender now, and we will allow you to—" His words were cut off as the first railgun projectile struck his flagship. The dense uranium round accelerated to enormous speed by magnetic fields and powered by alien energy cores, hit the Zephyrian ship's energy shield. The shield, designed to absorb and deflect energy weapons, didn't even register the solid projectile. The round passed through the energy field like it was empty space. It punched into the alien ship's hull with the force of a small asteroid. The impact created a hole 3 meters wide that went completely through the vessel from front to back. Atmosphere and debris erupted from both sides of the ship as the projectile continued into space. "What was that?" Vextar's voice came over the communication channel, no longer confident and amused. For the first time, Jake heard surprise and confusion in the alien commander's tone. More impacts followed. Railgun rounds from all 3 human ships struck the alien fleet like invisible hammers. Each projectile punched through shields and armor as if they were made of paper. Alien ships that had seemed invincible seconds before were suddenly bleeding, atmosphere, and spinning out of control. Science Officer Kelloth's panicked voice came over the alien communication channel. "Commander, our shields are not stopping their attacks. How are they getting through our defenses?" "Impossible!" Drakmore roared. "Humans only have primitive energy weapons. We've seen their technology." Jake smiled grimly as he watched the tactical display. 3 alien ships were already showing critical damage. Their perfect formation was breaking apart as vessels tried to escape the invisible death raining down on them. "Sir, the missile barrage is about to hit," Ryan reported. Jake watched as the first human missile reached the alien fleet. The Zephyrians had never seen guided kinetic weapons before. Their point defense systems were designed to stop energy-based projectiles and had no idea how to target solid objects flying through space. The missile struck Kelloth's science vessel, directly in the center. Kate Sullivan's hybrid warhead combined human nuclear explosives with Zephyrian crystal technology. The explosion that followed was unlike anything ever seen in space combat. A ball of white-hot energy expanded from the impact point, but instead of dissipating like a normal nuclear blast, the alien crystals contained and focused the explosion. The entire science vessel was engulfed in a sphere of destruction that lasted for 10 full seconds before finally fading. When the light cleared, Keloth's ship was gone. Not damaged or destroyed, completely vaporized. Nothing remained but glowing particles drifting in space. By the void. Vextar whispered. What weapons are these? How is this possible? More missiles found their targets. Each explosion created the same devastating ball of contained energy. Alien ships that had dominated space battles for thousands of years were being erased from existence by human weapons they had mocked as primitive. Jake opened a communication channel to the entire alien fleet. Zephyrian vessels, this is Captain Morrison. Your shields cannot stop our weapons. Your armor cannot protect you. Surrender immediately, or we will destroy every ship in your fleet. The response was immediate chaos. Alien voices filled the communication. Channels all talking at once in their musical language. The computer could only translate fragments. How are they doing this? The metal projectiles passed right through our shields. Our defensive systems cannot track solid objects. Commander, we must retreat. Vextar's voice cut through the panic. All ships, evasive maneuvers, maximum speed. Get us away from these impossible weapons. But it was too late for most of the alien fleet. Human kinetic weapons had been designed to hit fast-moving targets across vast distances. The Zephyrian ships, built for energy combat, were not designed for the kind of rapid maneuvering needed to avoid projectile weapons. More railgun rounds found their targets. Jake watched as Drakmor's massive weapons ship took 3 direct hits in rapid succession. The first round destroyed its main energy cannon. The second punched through its reactor core, causing internal explosions that lit up the ship from inside. The third round hit the bridge section, and Drakmor's angry voice was suddenly cut off in mid-sentence. Captain Terry Wang's voice came from the Defiance. Liberty! This is working better than we hoped. Their ships are sitting targets for kinetic weapons. Confirmed, Defiance. Continue firing until they surrender or retreat. Captain Nicole Foster's damaged ship was still in the fight. Ranger here. Our hull is breached, but our weapons are working fine. Targeting the alien flagship for another missile strike. Jake looked at the tactical display. In less than 5 minutes, the human fleet had gone from nearly defeated to completely dominating the battle. 12 alien ships were destroyed or disabled. The remaining 3 vessels were trying desperately to escape, but human missiles were still chasing them through space. Vextar's flagship was badly damaged, but still functional. Multiple railgun impacts had torn holes through its hull, and sparks could be seen through the breaches as internal systems failed. The proud alien commander who had mocked human weapons was now begging for mercy. Human ships, cease fire. We surrender. Please stop shooting. Jake felt a cold satisfaction. All human vessels cease fire, hold position, and maintain target locks. The space around New Denver fell silent except for the drift of debris from destroyed alien ships. The beautiful vessels that had seemed so powerful and advanced were now twisted metal, floating in the void. Sir, Ben Rodriguez reported, I'm receiving surrender requests from all surviving alien vessels. They want to negotiate. Jake stood up from his command chair. Put Commander Vextar on screen. The alien commander appeared, but he looked very different from their first meeting. His purple skin was pale, and his yellow eyes showed fear instead of amusement. Behind him, Jake could see smoke and emergency lights as Vextar's crew worked. To repair critical systems. Captain Morrison, Vextar said, his musical voice now quiet and humble. We do not understand what happened. How did your primitive weapons defeat our advanced shields? Our weapons aren't primitive, Jake replied. They're just different from what you expected. Your shields were designed to stop energy attacks. Our kinetic weapons use solid projectiles that your technology cannot defend against. Kinetic weapons, Vextar repeated slowly, as if trying to understand a completely foreign concept. You mean the metal objects you fire actually reach their targets? Without guidance systems or energy tracking? That's right. Sometimes the simplest approach is the most effective. Kate Sullivan had been monitoring the alien ship's systems. Captain, their damage control teams are using energy-based repair tools that can't fix projectile damage. They literally don't have the right equipment to patch holes in their hulls. Dr. Lisa Carter was studying the alien communication channels. Sir, they're trying to figure out how solid objects can fly through space without power sources. Their science officers are having heated arguments about human physics. Jake almost smiled at that. The aliens were so advanced that they had forgotten the basic principles of momentum and kinetic energy. To them, the idea of firing an unpowered projectile and having it hit a target was as mysterious as magic. Commander Vextar, Jake said, you attacked our colonies and killed innocent people. You destroyed our cities because you thought we were too primitive to fight back. What do you have to say now? The alien commander's head drooped with what might have been shame. We were wrong, Captain Morrison. We have encountered hundreds of species across the galaxy, but none like humanity. Every civilization we met had advanced beyond kinetic weapons millions of years ago. We had forgotten that such weapons could even exist. Your ships are designed to fight energy weapons, Jake continued. Your shields, your armor, your tactics, everything assumes your enemies will use the same technology you do. You never imagined anyone would still use projectiles. No, Vextar admitted. In all our history, we have never faced solid projectiles fired at such velocities. Our defensive systems cannot even detect them, much less stop them. Your weapons are invisible to us. Jake looked around his bridge at his crew. Ryan Brooks was grinning as he monitored the alien ships, making sure they didn't try anything stupid. Kate Sullivan was analyzing the damage their weapons had caused, probably already thinking of improvements. Dr. Carter was recording everything for the history books. Commander Vextar, your fleet is defeated. Your ships are damaged beyond your ability to repair. What are your intentions now? The alien commander was quiet for a long moment. When the deadline had passed 6 hours ago. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, watching the long-range sensors as alien ships moved toward New Denver colony. His stomach felt tight with worry. 300,000 humans lived on that planet, including families with children who had never seen Earth. Captain, we're receiving a distress signal from New Denver, Ben Rodriguez reported. His voice was steady, but Jake could see the tension in his shoulders. Governor Paul Jenkins is requesting immediate assistance. On the main screen, a scared-looking man with gray hair appeared. Behind him, Jake could see people running and the glow of fires in the distance. This is Governor Jenkins of New Denver. Colony. We are under attack by alien forces. Their ships are destroying our defensive platforms and civilian buildings. We need help. Jake gripped his chair. How long until we reach them? 8 hours at maximum speed, replied Kate Sullivan, from her engineering station. She had dark circles under her eyes from working non-stop on weapon modifications. The Defiance and Ranger are already on their way. They'll arrive 2 hours before us. Sir, Ben continued, I'm also receiving a broadcast from the alien fleet. Commander Vexatar is transmitting on all frequencies. The screen changed to show the familiar purple face of the Zephyrian commander. But now his expression was cold and angry instead of amused. People of Earth, your government has chosen to ignore our reasonable demands. We are now demonstrating what happens to those who refuse the guidance of superior civilizations. The view switched to show New Denver from space. Jake watched in horror as purple beams of energy struck the planet's surface. Where the beams hit, buildings simply disappeared, not destroyed or damaged, completely gone, as if they had never existed. Your primitive weapons cannot save these colonists, Vextar continued. Your slow ships cannot reach them in time. This destruction is unnecessary. Accept our authority. And no more humans need to die. The transmission ended. Jake stared at the screen, feeling helpless rage build in his chest. The aliens were murdering innocent people to make a point about their superiority. "Captain?" "Doctor," Lisa Carter said quietly. "I'm detecting escape pods and transport ships leaving New Denver. Governor Jenkins is evacuating civilians to the underground shelters." "Good," Jake replied. "At least some people will survive." "Kate, what's the status on our weapon modifications?" Kate turned from her station with a tired but determined look. "All kinetic weapons have been upgraded with alien energy cores. Our railguns can now fire projectiles at 30% of light speed. The missile warheads combine human explosives with Zephyrian crystal technology." "And you're sure this will work?" "The test results were perfect, Captain. Their shields can't even detect our projectiles, much less stop them. But we only get one chance to surprise them." Ryan Brooks checked his weapons console. "All systems ready, Captain. The Defiance and Ranger have been equipped with the same modifications. We're carrying enough kinetic ammunition to level a small moon." Jake nodded. "Good, because we're about to find out if human stubbornness can beat alien technology." 4 hours later, Jake watched on his screen as the USS Defiance and USS Ranger dropped out of hyperspace near New Denver. The planet's surface was scarred with burn marks where alien weapons had struck. Several cities were completely gone, leaving only empty craters. Captain Terry Wang of the Defiance was a calm man who had commanded ships for 20 years. His voice came over the communication channel. "Liberty, this is Defiance. We count 15 alien ships in orbit around New Denver. They're continuing to bombard civilian targets." "Understood, Defiance," Jake replied. "Remember the plan. Use energy weapons first to make them think we're fighting normally. Don't reveal the kinetic weapons until I give the signal." Captain Nicole Foster of the USS Ranger spoke next. She was a tough woman who had earned her command by fighting space pirates in the outer systems. "Copy that, Liberty. Our people are ready for payback." The two human ships moved toward the alien fleet. Jake could see them on his sensors, small dots approaching the much larger Zephyrian vessels. The alien ships were 3 times bigger than human destroyers and armed with weapons that could destroy entire city blocks. "Sir, the aliens are responding to our ships," Ben reported. "Commander Vexitar is broadcasting again." Vexitar's image appeared on screen. Now he looked genuinely surprised. "Human vessels, you cannot be serious. Are you really going to attack us with your primitive technology? We have already demonstrated our superiority." Captain Wang's voice came from the Defiance. "Zephyrian ships, you are attacking innocent civilians. Withdraw immediately or we will open fire." The alien commander laughed, the same musical sound Jake remembered from their first meeting. "You will open fire? With what? Your metal-throwing weapons? Your chemical explosives? This is amusing, but we grow tired of these games. All human ships," Vexitar continued, "surrender now, and we will allow you to evacuate the remaining colonists. Continue this foolish resistance, and we will destroy your vessels to demonstrate the futility of opposing advanced civilizations." Jake felt his anger burning hotter. These aliens thought human lives meant nothing. They destroyed cities like children knocking down toy blocks, and they expected humans to be grateful for their mercy. "Battle stations," Jake ordered. "All hands, prepare for combat!" Alarms rang throughout the Liberty as the crew rushed to their positions. In the distance, Jake could see the Defiance and Ranger doing the same. Red lights flashed on all 3 ships as weapons powered up and shields activated. The first shots came from the alien fleet. Purple beams of energy lanced out toward the human ships. The Defiance shook as several hits struck its shields, but the human vessel held together. "Return fire!" Captain Wang ordered. "Energy weapons only!" Blue plasma bolts and bright laser beams erupted from the human ships, striking the alien vessels. But just as expected, the Zephyrian shields absorbed every shot without any visible damage. Vexitar's laughter filled the communication channels. Is this the best humanity can offer? Your weapons are like insects biting a mountain. Science officer, Keloth, demonstrate proper firepower. A massive alien ship, twice the size of the others, moved forward. Energy built up along its hull until the entire vessel glowed like a small sun. Then it fired. The beam that struck the Ranger was wider than the ship itself. Jake watched in horror as the human vessel's shields collapsed instantly. The ship's hull began to glow and melt under the alien weapon's power. "Ranger, report!" "Jake," called out. Captain Foster's voice came back, strained but steady. "We're hurt bad, Liberty. Hull breaches on multiple decks, but we're still fighting." The alien fleet moved closer, their ships arranged in a perfect formation that spoke of centuries of military experience. More energy beams lanced out, battering the human vessels. The Defiance was taking heavy damage, and the Ranger was barely holding together. "This is pathetic," Drakmore's rough voice came over the communication channel. "These humans fight like children with sticks. Commander Vextar, shall we end this quickly?" "Yes," Vextar replied, "but slowly enough that Earth can watch there be. Defenders die. Let this be a lesson about the price of defying the Zephyrian Empire." Jake gripped his chair as another alien volley shook the Liberty. The human ships were outgunned, outmatched, and dying. Their energy weapons were useless against alien shields, just as the Zephyrians had predicted. But Jake was counting on that confidence. He was counting on the aliens believing their own superiority. Every shot the humans fired with energy weapons made the aliens more certain of victory. "Captain," Kate called out, "the Liberty will be in weapons range in 30 seconds. "Sir," Ryan added, "all kinetic systems are charged and ready. We have target locks on the alien flagship and 6 other vessels." Jake watched the tactical display as the distance closed. The alien ships weren't even trying to dodge. They hung in space like floating fortresses, secure in their shields and advanced technology. "Liberty to all ships," Jake broadcast on a secure channel. "Remember, we only get one chance to surprise them. Make every shot count." The Liberty shook as alien weapons struck its shields. Warning lights flashed as power systems strained under the assault. But the ship held together, and Jake smiled. Grimly, "Sir, we're in range," Ryan reported. Jake looked at the alien ships on his screen. They were beautiful, powerful, and completely unprepared for what was about to happen. For weeks, they had mocked human weapons as primitive and useless. They had laughed at kinetic projectiles as relics of a barbaric past. The moment had arrived to show them how wrong they were. "All ships," Jake ordered, his voice carrying across the communication channels to every human vessel in the battle. "Switch to kinetic weapons. Fire everything." 3 weeks had passed since the first meeting with the Zephyrians. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his ready room, reading reports that made his stomach feel heavy. The aliens had not left the area. Instead, more of their ships kept arriving each day. What started as 7 vessels had grown to over 30. The door chimed and Ben Rodriguez entered carrying a message pad. His usual calm face looked worried. "Captain, we just received another transmission from Commander Vextar. You're not going to like it." Jake took the pad and read the message. His jaw tightened with each word. "They want exclusive mining rights to Kepler Station, New Denver, and the entire Tau sector. Those are some of our biggest colonies." "Yes, sir." "They claim the planets contain rare crystals that only they know how to use properly. They say humans are too primitive to understand the value of what we're sitting on." Jake stood up and walked to the window. Outside, he could see the alien ships floating in perfect formation. They looked beautiful and deadly at the same time. "What's the deadline?" 72 hours for our government to respond. After that, they say they'll take the planets by force to prevent us from damaging important galactic resources. Get me, Admiral Price, at Earth Command. Priority 1. 2 hours later, Jake was in a secure video call with Admiral Helen Price. She was a tough woman in her 60s who had fought in the Mars Rebellion and the Jupiter mining wars. Her gray hair was pulled back tight, and her dark eyes showed no fear. Captain Morrison, I've read your reports about these Zephyrians. What's your assessment of their military capabilities? They're far ahead of us, Admiral. Their energy weapons can destroy matter at the molecular level. Their shields can stop anything we have. In a straight fight, we'd lose badly. Admiral Price nodded. That's what our scientists think too, but we can't just give up 3 of our most important colonies. Too many people live there, and those mining operations feed half the human worlds. What are your orders, ma'am? I'm sending you reinforcements. The USS Defiance and USS Ranger are already on their way. More ships will follow. In the meantime, I want you to buy us time. Keep talking to these aliens, but don't agree to anything. And if they attack, Admiral Price's expression grew hard. Then we fight with everything we have. Humanity doesn't bow down to bullies, no matter how advanced they are. After the call ended, Jake gathered his senior staff in the conference room. Kate Sullivan had been working non-stop for 3 weeks, studying every piece of alien technology she could scan. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep, but she looked excited. I've been analyzing their energy signatures, Kate said, pulling up holographic displays. Their shields work by creating an energy field that absorbs or deflects incoming energy attacks. It's incredibly sophisticated. Dr. Lisa Carter leaned forward. But what about physical objects? Solid matter? That's what's interesting, Kate replied. I don't think they've ever needed to defend against kinetic weapons. Every scan I've taken suggests their shields are specifically designed for energy warfare. Ryan Brooks had been quiet during most meetings lately, but now he spoke up. Are you saying our guns might work against them? I'm saying it's possible, but we'd need to test it somehow, and we can't exactly ask them to let us shoot at their ships. Jake thought about this. What about our own experiments? Can we build something similar to their shields and test our weapons against it? Kate nodded eagerly. I've been working on that. Give me another week and I think I can create a small version of their energy field. We could test it in the cargo bay. Do it, Jake ordered. But keep it quiet. If they find out what we're planning, they might attack early. Dr. Carter had been studying her own data. Captain, I've been monitoring their communications. They're not just dismissive of our weapons. They genuinely don't understand them. When Drakmore examined Ryan's bullets, he kept asking how we programmed them to find targets. They don't know what dumb ammunition is? Ryan asked. I don't think so. Every weapon they've shown us has smart targeting, energy guidance, or molecular tracking. The idea of just firing a piece of metal in a straight line seems completely foreign to them. Ben looked up from his station. Captain, we're getting another message from the Zephyrians. Commander Vextar wants to meet again. An hour later, Jake found himself back on the alien flagship. This time, Vexatar seemed less amused and more impatient. The alien commander's yellow eyes had a harder look, and his voice carried an edge it hadn't had before. Captain Morrison, has your government considered our generous offer? We're still discussing it, Jake replied carefully. These are big decisions that affect millions of people. Millions of primitives, Drakmore interrupted. They would be better served under Zephyrian guidance. We could teach them proper technology, proper civilization. Jake felt his anger rising but kept his voice steady. Humans value their freedom. We don't give up our homes easily. Vextar made a dismissive gesture. Freedom to do what? Fire metal slugs at each other? Build crude chemical rockets? Your species has potential, but you need proper direction. And if we refuse your direction? The alien commander's expression grew cold. Then we will demonstrate why advanced civilizations lead and primitive ones follow. Your weapons cannot harm us, Captain. Your ships are slow and fragile. This does not have to be violent, but it will be decisive. Jake noticed something during the meeting. When Vextar talked about human weapons, he always mentioned energy-based systems, lasers, plasma guns, particle beams. He never brought up kinetic weapons except to mock them. It was as if the aliens couldn't imagine bullets and missiles as real threats. Back on the Liberty, Jake called another staff meeting. The crew was tense. Everyone knew the deadline was approaching, and everyone knew what would happen when it passed. "Kate, how's the shield test coming along?" Kate smiled for the first time in weeks. "Better than I hoped, Captain. I managed to create a small energy field using modified parts from our plasma conduits. It's not as strong as theirs, but it should work for testing. And I tested it against our laser rifles, plasma guns, and particle weapons. The shield stopped everything, just like theirs would, but then I tried something different." Kate activated a holographic recording. The shield appeared as a shimmering blue dome. Energy weapons struck it and were absorbed harmlessly. Then a simple metal projectile fired from a magnetic accelerator, punched right through the field and struck the target behind it. "The kinetic round went through like the shield wasn't even there," Kate explained. "The field is designed to handle energy, not solid matter." Ryan was staring at the recording. "So our bullets would work?" "More than work. They'd be completely unstoppable. Their shields can't even detect kinetic projectiles, much less stop them." Dr. Carter was taking notes rapidly. "This makes sense from an evolutionary standpoint. If every species they've encountered uses energy weapons, they'd never develop defenses against projectiles." Jake felt a strange mix of hope and worry. "Kate, can we modify our weapons to be more effective?" "Already working on it, Captain. I've been designing enhanced kinetic rounds using some of their energy principles. Imagine a railgun projectile powered by their crystal technology, or missiles with warheads that combine our explosives with their energy systems. How long do you need? For basic modifications, 12 hours. For the advanced hybrid weapons, maybe 48 hours if I don't sleep." "You have 36 hours, Jake said. "Ben, any word from the Defiance and Ranger?" "They'll be here in 18 hours, Captain. Both ships are carrying full weapons loads." Jake stood and looked around, the table at his officers. They were good people, all of them. They deserved to know what they were facing. "In 36 hours, we're probably going to fight the most advanced military force in the galaxy. They have better ships, better shields, better energy weapons. They think we're primitive savages who can't hurt them." He paused, looking at each. "Ace. They might be right about everything except the last part. If Kate's theory is correct, our primitive weapons might be exactly what we need. But this is going to be dangerous. Anyone who wants to transfer to a transport ship before the shooting starts can do so without any questions asked." Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Finally, Ryan Brooks stood up. "Sir, I've been using kinetic weapons my whole career. If these aliens think bullets are toys, I'd like to be the one to educate them." Kate nodded. "I want to see if my hybrid designs work in combat." Dr. Carter adjusted her glasses. "Someone needs to document this for science." Ben smiled grimly. "Besides, where would we go? If they take our colonies, nowhere in human space will be safe." Jake felt proud of his crew, but he also felt the weight of responsibility. In less than 2 days, they would learn if human ingenuity could overcome alien superiority. The Zephyrians were about to discover that sometimes the oldest weapons were still the deadliest ones.